How are you?
I am here.
That's about it. That's about it.
That is pretty much it. That is
we're doing a podcast. That's what
we are. I am here, and we will be doing a podcast, and then we will not do a podcast because we will have done the podcast.
I like that logic.
It's pretty sound. Very sound logic.
All right. Let's go ahead and get into it. Going in 3, 2, 1.
Time to get your fix. It's a horrible gaming podcast. It's not good, it's not great. Horrible gaming podcast. It's not even what you would call fair. It's really not that good. Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Hello, my name is Zach Rye with Old Man Gaming. Dear listener, for whatever reason, you have decided to tune into another horrible gaming podcast. I am not alone. Usually I am never alone. With me is
Neil, a.k.a. Tiny Wizard.
And I must apologize. I know that right after I did a message basically saying I'm going to do less content on the channel and then promised that I would continue to do the podcast, we did not make a podcast last week, which probably led all of you to think that we weren't doing the podcast anymore. We're doing the podcast. Last week, I had some very obnoxious medical tests I had to do in the morning. So we rescheduled for Monday, and then Neil got stuck at work. So
very much so. And
then we were out of time. We have a 48-hour window to get the podcast done, unless we notify one each other ahead of time. And that's we ran out of the 48 hours, ladies and gentlemen. But we're back. We're here. This week, we're doing a podcast about some stuff. Neil picked the subject, and he picked it last week when we were going to do it. I don't remember what it is. So I'm very excited because I'm going in blind.
To find out about it the second we start. At this point, I'm not even going to say anything about it
gunless, until we go into it. Have no idea. That's how I like it. We do it live. But before we do it live, we must thank the people who will make it possible. Behind our ugly mugs, you are seeing a custom graphic that was provided by Mr. Mark Bell. We thank him for that. And, of course, the theme song for this show and all of the shows here at Old Man Gaming is provided by the man who makes the music, my brother Nick Van Sliders. We thank him for that. We'll be right back with fan interaction.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that brings us to our most important segment. That's fan interaction. That's where we, the co-hosts, we talk to you guys, the fans. So let's get right into it. We start off, of course, with the professor, Jason, who is eagerly trying to take Kevin's, R.I.P. Kevin's, role of machine gun posting during the podcast. Ads make me want to boycott the product and advertise 99.99% of the time. But I guess it's that 0.001% of the time I'm intrigued is worth it, since billions of people exist. Yeah, I guess. I still feel like who on this planet doesn't know what a fucking Coke is? Like, and if you don't know what a Coke is, you certainly don't have a TV to figure out what a fucking Coke is. So what are we doing with the ads, you know?
That's true.
Like, stuff like that, I don't know why they spend that much money on it. And the other thing that's funny to me is, I don't know, somebody did a poll, I think it was William Hoon, about whether or not people were seeing ads in his content because he's not in the partnership program. And he just wants to make sure that they're not just like sticking ads in there even though they're not giving him any money or anything. And one of his options was I wouldn't have ads either way because I'm on the premium. And 60% said they're on premium. So what I don't understand about the ads thing is so many people will avoid ads by spending an extra $2 for the product in the first place that, like, what, you know what I mean? Like, you're defeating yourself anyway at that point.
I'll tell you, when it comes to advertising, it really just kind of depends. When you're looking at streaming services with ads being in streaming services, for the most part, I literally do not care. I will deal with ads because that's when I go to pee. When I'm watching something, I go pee, go get a snack. I like just actively waiting for a commercial break. The only reason I have YouTube Premium is because I paid for YouTube Music back in the day, and now that's been rolled over to YouTube. Right. And I think the one thing that I do primarily on my phone more than anything else is listen to YouTube videos, almost like podcasts sometimes. Right. So, I mean, yeah, that's the only reason I have the premium on that, because I can do it with the screen off. But outside of that,
the thing is it's worth it sometimes. Like like my Spotify is premium. It's a premium Spotify account because I wanted the music without the ads. I tried it with the ads, and I had to listen to Danny DeVito try and sell me a Jersey Mike sub, 1,000 times on the way out to Nashville, and I just couldn't take it anymore. So it's just one of those things. It's what is it worth to get on that premium subscription? You know what I mean?
Right.
All right, so he continues, AI turning humans into livestock, a la Skynet and the Matrix is inevitable. I think we're all going to become bees first, man. I think the internet is a collective hive mind that has been created for us to evolve into. We're all going to be bees.
I definitely had no idea where you were going with that. I was like, what? We're
going to be bees, Neil. Bees. Buzz, buzz, motherfucker. We're all going to be bees. Bees. Bee-I-Fa-Cation of the world.
The Bee-I-Fa-Cation of the world.
Bee-I-Fa-Cation.
We need more
That's
bees.
Me, right here. Bees. Yeah, we're all going to become them. So that's why they died out, so that we could take their place.
It's the grand plan.
It's the grand plan. It's, we become bee. Everything becomes bee.
We are bee. You am bee? I am bee. We am bee.
He then says, so in 10 years, Zach is Otto. I don't know what that means. Because I said that I was going to die, but I'm not exactly sure what that means. Explain that one, Jason. Explain that one. It was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Jason then continues, I said ages ago, when Hulu, Netflix, and Amazon start to lose stuff to companies wanting their own service, that it will end up like cable and satellite, where there is no longer a handful of conglomerate services in favor of thousands of individual services. Yes, I mean, I said it too. It's just one of those things that you end up in this circle. It's just this constant circle of, like, this thing becomes the better thing, and then you switch to it, but then once they realize, the companies realize that it's the better thing, they make it the worst thing, and then you have to switch back to the other better thing.
Could you imagine if they did with music how they do with shows and stuff? Like individual record companies taking their music and only their artists are under that banner?
Yeah.
So then you have to subscribe to like Universal Music, Sony Music. Oh God, I'm pretty sure
I don't think that won't happen eventually. Like Spotify's got it locked down, but all it takes is like, well, now we're over here. You know, I think
it takes one person to bucket. If they can go and charge instead of like, I don't even know how much a Spotify premium is. What, $16? Something like that?
No, it's less than that. I pay
14 or something maybe.
I pay 15 and I've got the duo.
Okay.
So I would say it's probably like 10 or 12, somewhere in there for a solo.
So if they could instead have like, one of those record companies just be like, hey, for $3 a month, you can get access to all of our music. That's exactly, one of them gets away with it, and that's all of them. Same goes with the screen sharing. Netflix started it with pay for the extra household, and then Disney, I mean, I haven't seen any movement on it, but they sent those emails out at the beginning of the summer, said, Hey, by the
September.
way, you can't password share anymore, just so you know.
Yeah,
So
it
everybody's
sucks.
jumping on that bandwagon now.
I know a lot of people on our Disney account that are going to be very sad pandas when that goes into effect. It's September is when that's happening. And yeah, Netflix did it, and now they're all going to do it. I think that like what's interesting too is you only have these outlier situations like Game Pass, and that's because Game Pass has bought up so much of the market to put onto their stuff. You know what I mean? Like that nobody has found, like the only people who could release a subscription service right now, I think that could rival them is Steam, you know? So like it's interesting, but yeah, if Xbox wasn't so far into owning other companies, I would personally think that would eventually happen with the subscription gaming services. Eventually, you'd start to have, okay, well, we're going to do this. And in some ways, they already have. It's just none of them are successful enough to not be on Game Pass 2. And at that point, it's like, I'm just going to buy Game Pass and get all of these things, you know?
Right.
But, I mean, you've got Ubisoft Plus, you've got EA Play, you've got the fucking Riot Games thing, you know what I mean? So, like, it's already kind of happening. It's just Game Pass is powerful enough to localize them all in one point. Continuing on, William Houlihan, hi, exclamation point. That opening story is part of the reason I can't get into PC gaming. Sounds like such a pain.
Did you ever get that figured out?
I did get it figured out. Before we continue with this, I do want to say, William, it's not that much of a pain. I know that, like, I made it sound like a pain in that specific moment, but other than that, I have been on PC for, like, through a generation and a half, and I have not had any real problems. Plus, I can play any of the fucking games without having to buy a whole new system. It's really nice. I think that, like, I don't know. I prefer the PC gaming. I really do, overall. I did get it fixed, though.
It definitely comes down to, I feel like, more so the interoperability between your components and how you kind of have everything set up too. Because, I mean, who knows? Your situation could be because you have an AMD card. I have never come across an issue like that.
It was a bug in the game.
It was an actual bug in the game, really.
It was a bug in the game. So, and I'm a little upset with Triumph Studios for how they've handled this, because I feel like if it was a bug in the game, I should have known it was a bug in the game, and I never knew it was a bug in the game. And I went through a lot of patch notes to try and find it as a bug in the game and didn't find it. Like, I'm not stupid. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not somebody who's just like, it doesn't work. You know, I know where to look to find bugs, and I didn't find it. But I eventually finally broke down and got on their Steam thread for graphical cards. And I was just like, here's everything I've done. I feel like a lunatic. I've spent so much money on this game, I can't finish any of my games. I don't know what to do. And he actually responded to me. One of the Triumph Studios guys responded to me and said, this is actually a problem, a noted bug. So they pushed like updates, but they pushed the updates ahead of time in early access so that it would fix these bugs, right? So I had to switch to the beta version of the game.
Interesting.
Yeah, so like once I switched to the beta version of the game on Steam, it was fine. It was all fixed because they had fixed that bug with the beta version. He was just like, this is a known issue. It's not a graphical card issue. It's this. And then, you know, he said, switch to the beta version. I switched and I fixed it immediately. Still, I feel like they should have let me know a little bit better than that. And I also wonder, because I'm pretty positive Age of Wonders 4 is on consoles. Maybe I'm wrong. But I'm wondering what they're doing for that. If that problem was there, you know?
I was going to say, because I know sometimes those problems are only, like, platform specific.
That's possible, too. Yeah, that's possible, too. And sometimes, I will say this, sometimes in the last couple of years, PC, for whatever reason, gets the shittiest version of the game. Wild Hearts had that problem, where, like, our version of the game sucked. We, you know, like, they wouldn't tell us why. There's been a couple of times like that, where, like, PC's gotten a shitty version of the game for some reason. Overall, though, my experience with PC blows the fuck out of consoles. Not to mention the fact, because of basically the graphics card singularity, which we've been talking about forever, I'm not going to need to switch this thing out for another 2 years. The only thing I need to do is I need to get a new fucking SSD. That's it. I don't have enough fucking memory. But other than that, like, the other thing is you can potato it a little bit. If you don't care about the graphics, you can just potato it a little bit and play your game just fine. You know what I mean? Even Starfield, that specifically said my graphics card was below the minimum requirements to play the game, worked just fine. It worked just fine. I just turned down the settings slightly, worked just fine. Don't feel like I missed. Hell, there's a capture because I did the review. You guys can see what I saw. Looked fine in the game too. So, like, overall, PC gaming, I think, is the superior one. But Will, I understand. I'm just saying, it's not as much of a pain as you thought it was, because for the longest time I stayed away from PC gaming because of that same reasoning. And then the only reason I jumped is because Philbilly jumped. And when Philbilly jumped, he kind of convinced me to do it, because it was stupid to buy one of the consoles, to pick a console, especially since I was into this channel. And I wouldn't look back. It was one of the best things I've ever done for gaming. Just saying.
The one caveat that I think I would have, though, with PC gaming, at least very recently, I'm talking within the past, like, 4-ish to 5-ish months, there's been some fucking shit going on. I know, like, I don't know if you'd seen or not, the more recent Intel CPUs were having this issue where they're just completely crashing out, and they were like, at first they were like, we know it's a problem, they denied it was a problem first. Then they said, it's a problem, but we can't reverse it. And now there's like, they're pushing updates to, like, it's like the microcode or something like that in how it all runs. The issues with that, there's been a lot of issues with SSDs lately. There's been a lot of issues with graphics cards because some of the manufacturers, some of the partners in the previous generation of cards were trying to move from the standard, an 8-pin, trying to do like a dual 8-pin setup to get it more power, and they're like catching on fire. And then Asus is just like trash when it comes to their support. They straight up say, it catches on fire, but what are you gonna do? Buy a new one. I don't know what to tell you.
They all have New York accents.
So they do. They all have New York accents. So I will say, like,
what are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do about it?
Sometimes computers play video games. Sometimes they start on fire. Roast a couple of marshmallows. Be happy.
Make the best of the mess. I don't know what to tell you.
There has been. You are right. There have been some hardware stuff, but to counter that, I would say just buy hardware that's a little bit older. Because it's fine. The hardware card, I think the quality has gone down recently because we're in a weird space, almost because of the singularity. Like, everybody's trying to do new things when there isn't that much newness to do, and because of that, things are getting started on fire.
And that's exactly why, like with NVIDIA, the 40 series cards. The 40 series cards, nobody could get their hands on the 30s, so they thought that they could basically just slap a rebrand on it and call it a day. I mean, you get a little bit bigger of a memory bus on some of the cards, but outside of that, it's fine. And now they're already talking about the 50s. It's the same thing with, like, the consoles and everything, whereas, like you said, depending on your situation and your setup, I mean, your card is, a
5600 XT
5600.
AMD.
There you go. So, I mean, you're running that. I'm running at a 2060 OC, and I'm
yours
just
is even weaker
fine.
than mine.
Yeah, like, I'm just fine.
It's kind of crazy. Like, they really, like, the PC people really want you to buy new stuff. So there's always this, like, you gotta get the new stuff. The new games are gonna, but, like, they really don't. Like you get it, you potato it a little bit, you're fine. But I haven't even read the rest of his post, so it's just a slight tangent. It's far from Game Pass, but Netflix already offers games through their services on mobile. And some bangers, too. Hades, Shredder's Revenge, Oxenfree 1 and 2, etc. It's already beginning. Thanks for answering all those questions. I thought you would pick I thought you would pick like one. Laugh out loud. Humble Games is now even humble in its team size.
Yeah.
True to their words, yeah. OMG, that GTA 6 story. As someone who just got out of a 106-day strike, I'll tell you, first-hand unions are freaking useless. For fuck's sake. Parentheses, I'm aware it's a hot take, by the way, but I stand by it 100%. As for the ads you don't watch and go get a drink or something, a company patented something that tracks your eyes and pauses the ad when you're not watching it. It's coming. Woot.
Yeah, suck my whole ass if that happens.
Bullshit, man. As a final word for this episode, Zach, let me remind you, your own words. As long as you keep watching, we'll keep making them. Thanks for the show, and for the shows in the next 10 years.
Except last week.
Hashtag wholesome stories. So let me just go ahead and answer to some of this. Yes, I will keep making them if you keep listening to them. Just probably not as much of them. And also, if I'm dead, you can listen all you want. I cannot record podcasts. It's just not possible. What else to say? That ad thing, I don't even want to talk about that. That's irritating. The union thing, I don't necessarily disagree with you. I am not a big union guy, but I do think that unions as a whole, I don't know how else to check and balance the video game industry, which is bullshit, than them unionizing, basically. I just wish that, as far as SAG-AFTRA, it's pretty stupid for them to cave on one game. And I think I covered everything. And then finally, Godric, new to commenting, says, "Thanks, homie. You didn't have to, but I'll tune in for sure." And I said, little guys got to support each other. Godric plays Age of Wonders 4. Go check him out on YouTube. He's fun. Anybody who reps Age of Wonders 4 is going to be somebody I like. He actually joined me on one of my last streams. And it was very, very enjoyable. So, I think that covers it. You want to get into the subject?
For sure.
All right, we'll be right back with mystery subject.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to our talking point, Neil.
Yeah.
It's you, baby. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it's me. Yeah.
There was a time when I knew what it was, but that is
there was a time,
passed.
yes. After 30 plus years, Game Informer's been shut down.
Really?
Yes, and this comes, after it's been not all print media has not been doing well for a while. A while ago,
to the YouTube thing, which that's why it surprises me that they completely shut down.
Well, and they even the tumult started, I want to say, about 4-ish years ago, I feel like, because they had a staff change out there. One of the guys who was like the main guy that did the podcast left the company as a whole, and then like one of the main editors took over, and then they went through a couple head editor-in-chiefs. And then there was the story that we even did on the odds and ends here about a year ago, I think it was, that you could get a subscription to Game Informer, just the subscription to Game Informer for, I think it was like $19.94 for the year or something like that, because they weren't doing very well. Finally GameStop, because they were the owners of the company, just completely pulled the plug on everything, and it was completely out of the blue. They were in the process of getting their Dragon Age feature. They were like 70% done with that, and it has completely gone. Everything's been folded. In fact, the website has been completely wiped.
Wow.
Of all previous any sort of news, information, anything. It just loads up this like, thanks for all the memories, Game Informer. So I just kind of wanted to do like a pour one out for Game Informer, because from my own personal experience, before everything was like, newsy online and everything, Game Informer was where it was at. That's when you found out about stuff. I remember there was even a period of time that I didn't know what E3 was, and there was like no way to really watch it online. So you would have that summer E3 edition come out, and you'd go through and see all the games come in. I kept all of my previous, for a while at least, I've since got rid of them, all of my old Game Informer magazines. I had like 50 of them saved up. They give you coupons for GameStop from time to time in there, like money off of games and everything. And I feel like it was an inevitability, but it's sad to see something like that go. It's something that was so crucial, I feel like, in the building of the game industry now, in a time where it was, I think, more genuine and pure.
It's funny you say that, and I'm going to show my age now because my go-to magazine was Game Pro, which was like the one right before Game Informer, like the generation prior.
Yes.
And so I get it. It was like the subscription that you waited for every month. And my Game Pro, I was so into it. I would get my Game Pro, I'd bring it upstairs, I'd go through it, and I'd circle the games that like interested me from the previews, and then I'd just follow until it showed a review, and then I knew it was out. I could go find it somewhere. Yeah. So like print media for video games is useless. Unfortunately, like it's become completely and totally useless. Like more so than news in some ways, because the stuff that they were doing in the magazine would come out 2 months after it would come out online. Even on Game Informer anymore, like their website would show the same interviews, but they would show them the minute they came out, and then you'd wait for a magazine to read it. Like,
yeah,
like video games is such a as a market, it's so eyes on, right? That like there's just no way to do a news thing. Like the only thing they had really then is their reviews, but again they had started doing it where like their reviews were online the minute they came out, so like why would you wait for the magazine, Yeah, it's tricky, but at the same time I do feel like they should have gotten notice that they were going to get shut down before they got shut down. I mean, this is another GameStop company botch, in my opinion. Like that, and another game company basically layoff for not necessarily no reason, like writing on the wall. I see it. There's no reason you can't tell them. There's no reason you can't give them a month heads up. Just like walk in and burn the place to the ground. It's kind of fucked up.
Yeah, and it is actually reminding me that I don't think we ever ended up doing the episode that we had talked about, because Kayla worked for GameStop for a while, and I know we wanted to hold off until she was no longer there to kind of do like a deep dive into how some of that stuff worked overall with GameStop. But I feel like, maybe now here soon, because I feel like this was, it's hard to describe, because we've seen the decline of GameStop as time has gone on further and further. They offer less. They're selling weird crap. They're now taking, trade-ins on trading cards. They've now completely shaved off one of the things that they were known for, being the magazine, no matter how outdated and antiquated it was.
I mean, every time you signed up for Power Up Rewards, you got a subscription to Game Informer.
Exactly.
So you've lost a feature.
Right. And, it makes me wonder, really, truly, how much more time GameStop has on this earth. I mean, it's already amazing to me.
Yeah.
When you take into consideration, they were making a big bet on gaming during like the peak of COVID, and then the meme stock thing happened, and unrealistic financial expectations, and then it's just been spazzing. When you take it with every single new console generation, you have the existential freak out, at least with the Xbox and PlayStation side, that there's always rumors of this is going to be the one that eliminates used games, or it's all digital only now. The nails are being driven into the coffin, and how much longer until you have to just throw the dirt over top of it?
It blows my mind that company exists. Like, we've been doing this for almost 6 years now, and I think in year 2 we were like, GameStop's going to close down any second now, and like they have they have sustained making us look like fools on that level while doing the foolish, dumbest shit to stay alive that there is. It's very strange. They are a real unicorn, in my opinion, as a company that continues to make the dumbest, stupidest mistakes and somehow survives. It blows my mind that they are still around, that they still exist. I can't believe they outlived Redbox. Like, that is... Like, to me, that's like, what? They outlived Redbox? Like, jeez, man. Redbox was just a vending machine, and somehow GameStop is still fucking around. So I don't know. Maybe they got some Colombian drug money coming in there or something. I don't know how those doors stay open on a regular basis.
Yeah, I mean, it's even funny, just because we've been talking about it. I haven't looked at GameStop news here, and of course I can't look at it, the actual full article, because it's a stupid paywall, because you have to pay for news, apparently. But just a simple search of GameStop in Google, the top review 2 days ago, the SEC was apparently investigating GameStop in 2021. So, I mean... Come on, man. Like,
yeah.
I mean, it's probably with the meme stock shit when that was really popping off, but yeah.
Well, or the this is the what it buys, the wiki buys or whatever, when they, like, the SEC would investigate that, the whole like their stock going up and then they wouldn't let anybody sell it.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty illegal. I think that it is kind of nuts, yeah. And I would like to... I understand the pour one out for Game Informer. Unfortunately, I think it's something that was going to happen. It was an inevitability. I do think that the way it happened was kind of dirty. Plus, like I said, they had transitioned into a very online media sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of surprised they weren't making money at that. Maybe get rid of their print division and just let them be online. Like, I don't know. But I don't know how much of their, like, company was based on the print media sales versus, like, what they were doing with the partnership program with YouTube and stuff like that, So yeah, it's tricky. I mean, IGN stays around, and they don't have any print media, and that's basically all they do is video game news.
Right.
So, like, I mean, I'm surprised at how they handled this, just walking in and burning the place to the ground, I guess.
Yeah, because I mean, that's really kind of how it happened too.
Yeah.
It was just surprise. You're not a thing anymore, and it's just gone. I hate that, so many things. To say that there's no value in it is kind of dumb, because you don't have a magazine that's been around for 30 plus years of content and stuff, and just say that, like, that is worthless. Like, you could find ways to put money on that, auctions, different other things, selling them to IGN. IGN probably would have bought them. Yeah.
there's a lot of ways to go about doing this that's a little bit smarter than this. Like just because they're not making enough money doesn't mean that they're not worth something. So burning them to the ground is just a dumb mistake.
Yeah, it was the nuking of everything that really rubbed people the wrong way.
Yeah.
Because there's no reason, at least not immediately. Obviously, when something shuts down, eventually it's not going to be a thing anymore. They have to close up shop, shut down servers, everything like that. But it's not like hey, we have made an announcement, this is gone. Right. Also, turn those servers off immediately.
Right.
It's not. It's for what Game Informer did overall for like the games industry as a whole, because I wholeheartedly believe the print media in gaming with GamePro, Game Informer, there was EGM also,
Electronic Gaming Monthly, Nintendo Power,
all that stuff. Mm-hmm. I mean, they had a place.
Yes.
For getting us to where we are, the stepping stone for the IGNs. Yeah. I just feel like it deserved more than what it got overall.
I 100% agree with that. And if you look at IGN, they did buy GamePro. They do that monthly bit on their one podcast with Damon Hatfield, the one where it's they pick a GamePro from the same day years prior, and they read out what was like in the GamePro and a review and stuff like that. So there is something to be said for that being content that people would be interested in. It's GameStop, right? So it's a bunch of investors all right, just burn it down and shut it down. Or somebody forgot to tell anybody and then they just closed it down. It's that kind of stupid knee-jerk shit that GameStop's been doing forever now. That is probably the result of this. It's just, it didn't have to go down this way. And again, baffles the mind that GameStop runs companies like this and is still around, because this was still an opportunity to make money that they missed, Mm-hmm. Yeah. So shall we go to the news?
Yes, we shall. The newsening. It's the newsening this week for sure.
Oh, goody. Long show. We'll be right back with the newsening. Newspocalypse.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, everybody, welcome to News Narok. The apocalypse.
Newsacalypse.
The apocalypse as according to News and
Newsmageddon.
Neil collects smaller stories that don't necessarily deserve talking about.
I am Nostradamus.
We riff on him. Neil has 10 goddamn news stories because he doesn't think I have anything else to do with my time. So, take it away, Neil.
So a little bit of Borderlands news out and about. First off, the movie's out. Not doing great. Debuted with a 0%. I think the last time it's at a 3% on Rotten Tomatoes. I knew from the first trailer that it was not gonna be good. It looks like a bad SNL skit overall, and I have not wanted to see a movie in the theater more in my entire life, because we went to go see Madam Web in the theater, and I knew it wasn't going to be great, but we go to see all the Marvel stuff in theaters, right. And oh my God, was it a gift from the heavens? It was the funniest fucking thing, because you're just tearing it apart the whole time. Absolutely the whole time. Everything's a joke. Everything's ridiculous. Everything's over the top. And so how bad it is. It's the reason why I enjoyed Sonic 06, because it was so bad. And Kayla and I have already talked. We want to go see Borderlands at some point. We're going to see it. As for
tell me how it is.
I already know how it is. I mean, hell, IGN of 3. So yeah. It's not great. But from there, of course, seizing on the opportunity, Randy Pitchford basically said that he hasn't done a good job at hiding what Gearbox's next project is, even though he's never talked about it like at all, and basically effectively confirmed it's a new Borderlands game. So just riding that wave, at least what he thought was a wave before the movie came out, because this news story broke before the movie was released.
I wonder what it'll be, because we've gotten, so like they like to do these spin-offs with the Borderlands game. There's Borderlands
it's like every
1,
other.
Then there's Borderlands 2. Then we got Borderlands 3.
We got pre-sequel.
We got pre-sequel. Then we got 3. Then we got Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. So are we going to do a 4, or is he going to break that, like, convention? I'm kind of done with Borderlands. 3, I feel like, took some really good base ideas and really botched it the fuck up, and just kept botching it the fuck up. And then Wonderlands, same thing. Like, I was, like, really excited for Wonderlands. The first 20 hours of that is really fun, and then it's just like, oh, they Borderlands'd it. Got it. So I'm kind of done with Borderlands. I will say, did you see the little thing about the guy who rigged Claptrap, who they didn't give credits to, and he was so happy they didn't give him credits?
I heard about the credits thing. I didn't hear that he was happy that he didn't.
Yeah, he was a rigger on the Claptrap, and he was like I worked for 3 years on that Claptrap, and I'm so happy that they left my name off the credits so that I don't have to put that on my resume anywhere.
Oh God. Yeah, it's. I've not heard a single good thing about that movie. No. Not one single solitary thing. I think the best praise that I heard in IGN's review, at least, was that the outfits, the costumes were pretty accurate, and that was about it.
Yeah, it does not look good to me at all, and it hasn't looked good since they got a PG-13 rating. Like, it doesn't. I don't know. I think they did Borderlands cosplay as a movie, which is how video game movies used to be, and I think that's what we got. All right, continue. Yeah. Next one.
Suicide Squad Season 2 has released, and unfortunately it's peaked at only 600 players, so expect that 1 year that they promised for support to be the only year. I feel like somebody at Rocksteady or Warner Brothers is just sitting there, tapping their toes, looking at the watch, waiting for that exact 1 year mark from launch so that they can flip the switch on it.
You know what bothers me so much about this is we haven't learned anything. Like, they still said, like, their focus at Warner Brothers is, games as service, looter shooter models. And, like, I'm like, well, what are we doing here? Like, I feel like you guys are trying to redefine insanity at this point. Like, this game is not selling for you. It didn't sell for you. It's not working for you. Which, again, I am sure there's somebody out there that this is their game. This is the best game that they've ever played, because that's just how the world works. That being said, as a whole, this was a shitty attempt to make Destiny money off superheroes. It failed. Can we stop now? Can we learn something from this? And if we're gonna do a games as service, put some fucking thought into it past guns, gear score, go up, microtransactions. Because I'm sick of this shit. I'm really sick of this shit. It has put me off to basically the entire AAA market right now. And this was cool in Destiny. Destiny came out fucking 15 years ago. Like stop doing this, This didn't make them money. What's funny to me is Bungie is like almost bankrupt. They just released a whole bunch of statements basically saying that they've been working in the red for years. If Sony hadn't bought them, that was basically a bailout. So you are now mimicking a game that has stopped working in the first place. Like,
So just because you brought it up here, it's one of my other news stories.
Oh.
So let's just kind of touch on this a little bit here.
Well, you got
so
10 of them. It's hard not to accidentally hit one.
Right. Bungie did end up laying off 17% of its workforce. They said it's about 220 people. And the worst part is, initially it was thought to be, well, the final shape came out and development on Destiny 2 was basically winding down. Apparently it was always in the cards to go ahead and let a bunch of people go and transition some people to other projects and other first-party Sony studios. But I mean, you have the head guy over there. I don't know if you saw this part of it. The head guy over there over the past few years has just been spending multiple millions of dollars on luxury cars. And in fact said to one of the individuals who was laid off the day before, they knew full well they were going to be laying this person off, bragging to them about this cool car that they just bought. And dude, I have to have you over sometime to take a look at this car. People were finding this guy's
You'll have a lot of time.
Yeah, you'll have a lot of time. This guy was people were finding this guy's old tweets and posting about it, and he did the only thing that somebody like that can do, and hide their Twitter profile basically from anybody on the outside looking in onto them, because it's just such a bad look. It's a bad look.
It's insensitive, but on top of that, it's dumb. I'm gonna say this right now. If my business, I want to say, if I made a ton of money, I would spend a ton of money. Okay, I don't think there's anything wrong with an executive buying a fancy luxury car. I don't. Okay, if you make the money and you want to buy a luxury car, knock yourself out. The difference here, though, the problem that I have here, though, is if I was running a company, let's say my RPG company takes off tomorrow, it becomes $1 million company.
Congratulations.
I'm definitely buying myself a fucking Bronco and a Lamborghini. First and second cars right out the gate. That being said, if the company starts to fucking fail and I'm not doing that, I'm certainly not buying a Bronco and a fucking Lamborghini. Stop buying cars for 10 seconds, bro. I don't have any problem with somebody spending money or even large sums of money, because I know as a person, I'm well enough aware of myself to know that would I do plenty for other people? Definitely. Would I spend a ton of money on stupid shit for myself? 100%. That is going to happen. I'm not going to say I'm better than anybody else who spends money to take themselves to the moon or some shit. Still, you have to still be realistic. You know what I mean? And if you're running a company and the money is coming from that company for that car, you know what I mean? And you're laying people off, there's a 2 + 2 = potato there that just doesn't add up, Right. I think that, and especially, if you're going to lay somebody off, don't talk about your nice, cool fucking cars. Have some decorum, have some empathy for what you're about to do to somebody, There was also another big report that, and again, the big problem here is look at how the company's run. You're giving yourself bonuses when your company's been in the red for how many years? To the point where you've already been bailed out once? It's like giving yourself a prize for failing. What are you doing? You're not accomplishing the goal, Yeah, I don't know. The whole Bungie thing is kind of nuts to me.
So going from there.
Yeah.
The Olympics just wrapped up today.
Oh, wait. Hold on. One last thing on the Bungie thing. They also came out and said that they are still going to be doing content for Destiny 2 for the foreseeable future. That was a rumor that they're no longer going to be doing content for Destiny 2. I did want to add to that. I forgot to say that at the beginning because I got on the tangent about the cars. But yeah, so aside from all of that, they're still going to be doing content for this game that's failing. It's just mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, that's definitely absolutely ridiculous. I don't understand.
Stupid. It's so stupid. I'm not saying Destiny 2 wasn't one of the greatest games of service ever, but and I'm not saying you should stop doing content for it, but you're obviously mismanaging your company if you're running it in the way you're running it. What are you doing? Okay, you may continue. Sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. So the Olympics, I believe, just wrapped up today as in Sunday, as we were recording this. Mm-hmm. And there was a notable absence from the normal Olympics schedule. Usually they do a Mario and Sonic game, a Mario and Sonic at the Olympics.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the game series has been canceled.
Ooh.
Yeah, the game series has been canceled because the Olympic Committee wanted to focus on going in another direction with gaming, which, fucking surprise, it's a random free-to-play game that's loaded with NFTs. Give the people what they want.
Yeah, that's a new direction, all right. It's a new direction all the way. Aside from all of that crap, did you see the Australian breakdancer?
No, I've heard about it. I've heard about it. I haven't seen it.
I will send you the video. I was imbibing some gummies on Saturday when I saw it, and I almost had a heart attack laughing so hard. Like, I couldn't catch my breath. She does windmill arms and like swims around on the ground. But what's even better is you got to watch her face through the whole thing, because she really looks like it's like somebody taught her how to breakdance completely wrong, because she's she's blowing kisses at her opponent and stuff, and I'm like, oh, what are you doing? I'll send you the video. I got it on my phone. It's fucking hysterical. Okay. Continue.
Yeah, there's been a lot of memes coming out of that. Did you see the guy from Turkey in the shooting?
Oh yeah, guy from Turkey in the shooting.
That was the best one. That guy's cool as fuck.
Yeah, he is cool as fuck. That's for coolness, though. For comedy, it's definitely Ray Gun, the Australian breakdancer. Holy shit, this woman is wow.
So, moving on here, talking about Sony. Sony finally cut the price of the PSVR 2 down. Cut it down to $350, and wouldn't you know it, they effectively sold out when they cut the price down. Teensy tiny itty bitty little tiny baby problem with it, though. The people who wanted to get it to use it on PC, because they were opening up PC availability for it, unfortunately needed to buy about, I think it's something like $75 worth of additional adapters to actually be able to use it on their computers. Tis the way of things.
Yeah.
Sony can't not Sony.
Yeah. Whoa. We lowered the price. You just also have to buy this other shit. That's great.
So, talking more about GameStop. GameStop put themselves in a very interesting position.
And win.
Yeah, right. So, the Xbox 360 store shut down recently.
Yes.
RIP in peace. However, they thought that they were being clever as all shit, and posted a screenshot of the error message that happens when you try to access the Xbox 360 store on your console, with the quote, the caption on it, "Bet y'all wish you bought physical copies."
Oh, no.
Yeah, not working out very well. Basically, everyone and their mother on Twitter is just ripping them apart.
Who is in charge of GameStop's social relations? Because they are the ones that, keep the Game Informer people. Fire your social relations department, because Jesus Christ.
It's all been bad. It's always bad. There's never anything good.
It's never good. It's it's just one cranky 52-year-old in a basement, waiting for some shit to happen so he could yell at people. I feel like that's what it is every time.
It gives me old man yelling at cloud vibes.
Yes, it really does. It really does.
Back in my day, you didn't have to install the disc to play it.
Oh,
it was optional for quick loading.
We played chess, and we dealt with that shit.
Lost a piece? Get a button.
Oh, that's great.
So, there's a company out there called Industrial Inspection and Consulting. And
they sound like a front.
Well, let me tell you what they're doing. For $75, they will actually do a CT scan of Pokemon card booster packs and tell you what's inside. Very interesting. I'm sure there's somebody out there who is convinced they have a pack that's got like a rare card, and they pay $75 thinking they're going to be making their money back when they pop that thing open, and there's like nothing in there.
This is like super gambling, but
yeah,
in super stealth, because you take a booster pack in there and be like, I just need one, and it all comes back to me, you know.
No, you better do pretty well on your first or second shot, because some of those cards are not worth as much as people think they are. Unless you, for some reason, have a first edition booster pack that's got a first edition Charizard in it, it's not going to be worth anything near enough to be able to do what you need to do to get that.
It's funny to me because it's literally like they are doing the same thing. Like they're opening it for more money, basically. So like they're spending more money to open the pack than they did before. Like so they spent what, like $5 on the pack, and then they spent $75 to see what's inside to open it. like what are we doing here at this point?
Right.
Like you just wanted to pay for it twice? Like that. This isn't enough money to be able to open this.
So, EA is fixing a bug in The Sims 4 that had Sims looking to bone other people within the same family.
Yeah! Stepbrothers caught, stepsisters caught in the washing machine. Stepbrothers gotta get her out. Did they call that the Pornhub bug?
No, I
help! I'm
I have
stuck
no
in
idea.
The couch.
What's funny is I thought I found something when I saw this, because Kayla's big into The Sims,
right?
And I was like, "Hey, did you hear about this thing?" And I started to describe it. She's like, "Yeah, it's been a thing for a while." And I was like, "Oh." I thought I was breaking important news.
Shouldn't matter. Like, how dare you not tell me that your Sims are trying to bang family members? Like, what are you doing?
This is newsworthy, goddammit.
Yeah, this is newsworthy. We're married. This is the kind of information you should be giving me.
All right, in the home stretch now. Home stretch, 2 more left. So Avowed has been delayed to February 2025.
Yes.
I don't know if you saw that or not. It was originally supposed to. It was originally supposed to launch this year.
Yep.
However,
October,
however, they're delaying it to February 2025 because there's a lot of other games coming out within that same window, and they don't want it to get lost in the other releases. That tells me one of two things, and it may bounce off of what you're about to say. That is either they are not expecting great things from this game, or they have spent such an ungodly amount of time and money on it, there are unrealistic expectations, and they need to squeeze every last red cent they can out of this game.
I think this is bullshit. I think that they have stuck trailer after trailer down our face, and they have not gotten good reception from it. Not from what I've seen online. And I think that they are smart enough, because this is Obsidian. Okay? Mm-hmm. This isn't like, yes, Obsidian's owned by Xbox now, and it's Xbox, but this is Obsidian. Obsidian doesn't like to make shitty games, okay? They go out of their way to not make shitty games. And I think despite some of their stupid-ass remarks when it comes to Baldur's Gate 3, I think that, like, at the end of the day, they have seen the response to what BG3 got. what their dumbass post about BG3 got and what people are saying about Avowed's trailers thus far, and they've gone, we need to put more stuff in this. We need to fix this. I think that's what's happening. I mean, we've talked about this every time they release a trailer. It's like one step forward, two steps back. Every time we see anything from them, it'll be like, oh, well, there's no romances in the game with your companions, but you can have this. Okay, well, that's kind of cool, but we did kind of we like the side romance stories. I mean, I guess they weren't in Outer Worlds, so that's fine. Oh, you can only play a human. What do you mean I can only fucking play a human? It's just dwarves and elves. I can only play a human, but there's going to be origins. All right, but I want to fucking play other shit. I think that, the other thing is, too, every time they release a trailer, they're like, look at this cool, innovative thing, and it just looks like Obsidian with better graphics. Not Obsidian, Oblivion with better graphics. You haven't showed us anything concrete. I think there has been backlash online about that, and I think that Obsidian's like, okay, we need to fix this. We need to at least not be a holiday game. And, yeah. So, yes, I agree with you on some level. I also think that this game, that they've realized that this game is not what people want.
Yeah, it's definitely not what people want. It's not what they expect. Lord knows that when we first saw the very first trailer for it, it looked very much like an Elder Scrolls adjacent thing. And it wasn't the last trailer, but the trailer before, I think, whenever they're talking about it at last year's game show summer event, they were like, oh, don't compare this to Elder Scrolls. This isn't Elder Scrolls. So, I mean, you presented it that way to begin with. And again, like all game discourse, if you are not extremely explicit right from the jump, tempering expectations, that hype train is just going to drag everybody along with it. So now, I mean, it's too late. It's too late. Well, people are thinking it's one thing. It's probably going to be a 7.
They made a huge mistake. Because, and I think this all stems from Outer Worlds, because Outer Worlds was a success because they basically, and they even kind of said this, it's Fallout without being Fallout, right? It's Fallout New Vegas without being Fallout New Vegas, right? It's the Fallout game you've been waiting for. And in a lot of ways, Outer Worlds did do that. They did succeed in places that even Fallout 4 failed. It wasn't as big as Fallout 4, but they still did a lot of stuff there that Fallout 4 didn't do that people wanted. And people with Fallout 4, people were not overwhelmingly happy with it. You know what I mean? They were happy with it, but it was more like a collective 7 among the masses, right? Whereas Skyrim is one of the greatest games ever made, regarded by other people, not just me, but other people. It is going to be spoken in the breaths of the greatest games of all time. For here until the end of time. And you, Obsidian, were like, well, we did that with Fallout, let's do it with Elder Scrolls. Okay, so you're already up against one of the greatest games ever made in Skyrim. And then on top of that, they didn't release it fast enough, and Baldur's Gate 3 came out, and that's a fantasy RPG. Granted, CRPG versus action RPG, I understand the genres aren't the same, but people are looking at BG3 and what BG3 did as far as the storytelling. They're not going to be happy with Avowed. If Avowed is Outer Worlds, the fantasy version, it's not going to live up to to Baldur's Gate 3. And it's certainly not going to live up to Skyrim. You know what I mean? And I think that's the problem they put themselves in, is in many ways you hit the nail on the head. They compared themselves to Elder Scrolls, which... You can't do that. Elder Scrolls isn't like Fallout. Not like Fallout 4. You know what I mean? Fallout 4 compared to Skyrim is shit. They're apples and oranges. There was room for a Fallout game to be the best Fallout game. Plus, Bethesda hadn't failed like they failed with Fallout 76. They had put their stock low on that, so you could bring out a Fallout-style game and go, hey, it's the Fallout without being Fallout, and succeed on that. You can't do that on Elder Scrolls because Skyrim and now because of Baldur's Gate 3. So, like, I think people are like, we'd rather play this. And I think that is making Obsidian go, we made a mistake here, and this game is not going to be what people want it to be.
Yeah, and now, as a result, in moving it from that date to another date, it's going to... I almost feel like that's what's going to make it get lost in the scuffle.
Yeah. I think that the other thing is, too, however you cut it, this announcement's bullshit. The whole, like game companies don't delay games because there's too many games on the release schedule. That's not why game companies delay games.
Right.
They're not going to be like, hey, we think you've got too much to play. It's done. We're just not going to release it for another 4 months. That's bullshit. Okay? There's going to be a team of people working on something there that was not done properly, whether it be not enough stuff, whether it be some bug in the game, something. There is some reason there are people they had to delay it that isn't like, we just wanted to wait so you had more time. This is bullshit Microsoft, we're your best friend bullshit, you know?
Mm-hmm. So, one last one. This one's actually just, it brings you back to what gaming is all about. I don't know if you've seen this or not. This went relatively viral. There was a man in Argentina who went viral for his reaction, more so an interaction overall, when purchasing a PlayStation 5. So apparently the backstory on this man used to go in regularly to the small electronics store that had a Spider-Man PS5. And he would go in on a regular basis, apparently, and admire this console. And he'd been saving up for a long period of time. And then one day he went in and actually finally had the money for it. And there's security cam footage of him putting it on the counter, giving the money to the clerk. And I guess he and the clerk talked like constantly because he was always in there so often. You can see him kind of start to buckle a little bit and look at the box and start sobbing. And the clerk actually hopped over the counter and like grabbed and hugged this dude, and they just kind of like excitedly bounced around after he purchased this PlayStation 5.
Oh, well, that's sweet.
Yeah,
he should have gotten a PC, but that's sweet.
It almost makes you forget about all the bullshit that happens in the industry at large.
No, but it's nice.
For a little bit.
It's
for
nice.
A little bit. It makes you remember what it's all about.
Yeah,
at least for a moment.
I agree with that. Gaming, much like any hobby, is supposed to be about joy, and the joy it brings to people who enjoy that hobby or art form. And definitely companies forget that. But with news done, can we be done, Neil?
Yes, we can be done.
Yay! I like being done. We'll be right back with shameless self-promotion, and then nothing.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that brings us to the end of the show and the shameless self-promotion that comes with it. Neil, what would you like to promote?
So we finally did our Lasso 3 stream that we had been dying, trying so hard over the course of a month. Come hell or high water, literal global global security meltdowns, and Xboxes, that stuff not working, and time, and this and that, and we finally all managed to get in the Master Chief Collection. We're all loaded up. I'm so excited to do Spartan Ops, and then I get a little error on the screen that says you can't do Spartan Ops cross-play, because of course you fucking can't, because reasons. So we actually decided to play it's my time at Sandrock for a little bit, and had a good time. Had a dumb time, but dumb in a good way. Just dicking around and doing stupid shit. And I know I did enjoy the game, so it's something that I'm hoping we will get to play a little bit more.
I mean, why wouldn't you and Kayla enjoy the game? You just ran around. Kayla ran around petting animals, and I built everything.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you guys enjoy the game?
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely.
I love that I come downstairs from cooking and cleaning in my house and making sure my family's got everything to get on the computer to cook and clean, to make sure you assholes digitally have everything. I'm just kidding. Yeah. It was a super fun time. I loved playing it. If you can get through the first hour of that stream, which is basically us, because I was like, I'm not canceling again, so I just went live while we were fucking with it. So if you could get through the first hour of us literally trying to play Master Chief Collection and failing,
I don't know, it's
switching to Sandrock,
pretty good.
It's comedy. It's definitely comedy. You guys can check that out. I want to plug something for Neil that he's not plugging. On the TTRPG side, him and Kayla participated in Ordo Scriptorium. We will be doing this again. Our 6-part first season. The first hunt is going up. I think the 4th episode comes out this Thursday. There's already 3 episodes up. They're 2 hours. They're fun if you like the TTRPG actual plays. It's just definitely, there is a good amount of us bumbling through a game that nobody's ever played before, which is fun. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and we're definitely going to do a second season, and please check that out. Other than that, for the channel, there's a lot of stuff. TTRPG, video games, we got a lot of stuff coming out. Prelude to Divorce is coming back. Don't worry, she didn't divorce me. And we're not doing that show anymore. That's coming back this Sunday, so check that out. We play some more Golf with Your Friends, which turns into golf while we're fighting with each other. There's stuff. We still got OMGM going up, this podcast, other items at intervals. I'm pretty sure that I'm going to put in the bonus of this like a more in-depth reasoning as to why I posted that video a week back of cutting back. So you guys can check that out if you want to know more about that whole situation. But yeah, we had to cut back a little bit. Doesn't mean we're going anywhere. We're going to stay here. We're sorry that we released that video and then didn't do a podcast. But again, this is just not going to be something where, like, I'm going to start sweating if we can't get a podcast out. Like, if we can't get a podcast out, we just can't get a podcast out that week. And that's just the way it is. And that's fine. We'll do it the week after. That's it. So I do want to thank everybody that commented, as usual. We will endeavor to be back next week. You guys can check us out on Facebook at OldManGamingDH, on Twitter at OldManGaming9. You can join our Discord. The link is in the description below. Influence us in all of our shows from there. You can also purchase our wonderful shirts at wizardsrespite.com. And you can also purchase my game, Ordo Scriptorium, that I was talking about, and single mod on itch.io, should you be a tabletop role-playing game guy. Other than that, as long as you guys keep watching and you keep listening, yes, William Hewin, we will keep making them. Unless I'm dead. Then I can't. Still a caveat, little fine print. Zach dies, show over.
All he has to do is survive long enough for AI to be like on a smaller, easy plug-and-play level to where we just feed these episodes of the podcast and he just generate forever. Yeah.
I mean, if I can hold on until we're all bees, you'll just have it in your head immediately. And it won't matter anymore. Once the Bee-I-Fa-Cation takes place, it'll just be in your head, Will. And you won't even need to know. I'll think it, you'll hear it, we'll be done. Bee-I-Fa-Cation. That's how we're going to end this episode. Bye, everybody. You and I have not spoken since my video about doing less content, just the two of us. So I did want to offer you the chance to ask any questions as my friend, if you were curious about anything.
Yeah. Are you okay?
I guess I could go into it a little bit more in depth. My blood pressure has spiked over the last 6 months. Yeah, exactly. It's funny. I told
it's funny, but it's not like
I told my buddy Johnny that, who listens to our show, and he just starts laughing so hard. He's like, your podcast, the video game industry is actually going to kill you. And I was like, well, I'm sure it's not all that, but yeah, my blood pressure has spiked over the last 6 months. So
it's just like completely just out of the blue one day, like, whoa, your shit's way up there, and like
it's not way up. It's not way up. It's not like my face is gonna explode or anything. It's just it's been elevated higher than the levels that it should be at for an extended period of time. So like the first, like I think the first time, because it's supposed to be, I think, and I don't know the medical stuff as well as like my wife does, but I think like your base level is supposed to be like 120 over 70 or 120 over 80,
something like that. Yeah.
So like it was like 136, and then they're like, this is a little high, but no big deal. And then, like, 3 months later when I had to go to the doctor for something else, it was 142. And then it was 147. And I had an incident that I don't really want to talk about just in case this does make the show. With, like, basically heat stroke. That could have been something else, you know what I mean? It made a lot of people worry. So I ended up having to do another fucking stress test on my heart. Do you know what a stress test is?
I know of it. Is that when they put you on the treadmill?
Yeah, this is my third one because I've always had this weird kind of like muscle pain like right between my pecs. Okay. I've never felt like it's heart, but the minute you talk to a doctor about it, they're just like, oh, it's chest, heart. So we've got to send you to that. So I've had like this was my third stress test in the course of like 5 years, and my second one within a year. The difference between the last one and this one is an echo stress test, which they actually do ultrasounds on your heart, resting, then they put you on the treadmill, then you have to get right off the treadmill, and then they do echoes on the heart again, which the whole experience was a very weird experience, to say the least, because they put an IV in me, and nobody told me ahead of time that I was going to need to do an IV in any way, shape, or form. And like, oh, we're doing an IV now? Like, what is happening right now? But yeah, so I had to do an echo stress test. That's what I was doing last week. But they said I couldn't have caffeine. I could 24 hours prior to the stress test. And I couldn't smoke 4 hours prior. I couldn't have food 3 hours prior. And that's what they had said. So I hadn't had caffeine at all that day, and I was just exhausted and tired and real cranky. So that's why I was like, let's do it Monday, you know? But yeah, so there's that. There's also another reason for it, which is my daughter has just become way too obsessed with YouTube. And it's caused some situations, I feel like, and it's weird because you think, why is she so obsessed with this? And then I don't know, I had this really hard conversation with somebody, again, not something I'm going to go into, just in case this does make it, but this mirror kind of got shown on me. I know this friend with a kid, and this kid loved a movie, just absolutely loved a movie, but the friend hated that movie. Now the kid says that they hate that movie. Kid's too young to even know what hate is. And that just kind of like in my head, like there was that, and then there was all this conversations that had happened, and I just thought to myself, what if the reason she's so obsessed with this is because I'm so obsessed with this? Like, what if the problem is just like mimicry? Which, honestly, since I've been worrying about this less, it's already gotten better. So I feel like it just came down to like I just had to make some weird decisions. On top of that, there was always a time limit on this, which I say this in the video. There was like 5 years ago, I became the stay-at-home parent. I didn't have a job, so I was like, I'm gonna take a crazy thing that's probably not possible and try and make a career out of it while I have this extra time, like that's what I'll do with my time. And then I did the same thing with the RPGs, and it's just, I'm at a point where I have basically a year before that time limit expires, and I'm going to have to get a full-time job or part-time job or something. With that being said, I won't be able to do as much of this. I would much rather taper off the content we have to a point where it's manageable than just one day we go from 20 videos to 2. Yeah.
Yeah, and just to kind of into what you were saying with that, like there's been times where like some weird shit has happened with scheduling and everything like that, or we've talked about, we have to record this and then but I can't do this, or it's going to turn into a hell week because A, B, C, X, Y, Z, and this is going to happen, this is going to happen. And when I would always say, like, you can just cancel, it was more low-key me hoping that you would make the decision for you to cancel something.
I mean,
because like that's kind of why, like, earlier on when we really first started doing this, like there was talk about doing that. Well, there's like the wrestling show that you wanted to, like, to where I sit down and watch all this wrestling, and then like I try to figure it out and we talk about it. And then like there's the tabletop gaming, and then there's this, and then there's this, and I'm like, I know how I already am sometimes, and I can see the writing on the wall. It has been foretold that I will put myself in a bad spot if I overextend myself. And I'm very glad for you that you have made the decision to back off a little.
I don't know, and I could be wrong, but I don't know how many people out there understand how much work I've put into this channel. It's exactly like you said, especially after we started doing the TTRPG stuff. There was weeks where it'd be like from Monday through Sunday, every night, the minute my kid is in bed, I'm working on the channel on either a recording or a video, or recording a video or planning a video or working on a video, you know what I mean? And then during the day, while my kid's home, I'm working on my RPG company. And it's like, when is the time for my kid? When is the time for my wife? When is the time for me? You know, and everybody keep going like, how have you not seen the Fallout series yet? The fuck would I have watched the Fallout series? Like,
not when, but how. Not when, but how.
Like, I've got 36 hours of content to edit, a week, as well as record, and it's I hate videos of YouTubers who like go on and be like, no, it's too much work. Like, you put yourself in the position, this is what you've got to do, So, like, I didn't want to be that guy. But, yeah, it's a lot of work. And it's gotten to a point where I definitely have to just start cutting back a little bit. And can I just say, I know this is going long if I do decide to add it. It has been fucking hard to cut back. Way harder than I thought it would. Every day I come up with, now in my head, I'm like, ooh, I could do that as a show. No. Stop yourself. We're not doing shows every 10 seconds. Oh, I could record that as a game. No. Just take the day off and play video games. It's been real hard for me to not do that because I've been working at that pace for like 5 years of just like, if I don't get content out, I don't matter in the world. And it's just really weird. Just a really weird situation. But like, my family comes first. My health has to come first. It just has to, And so, I that is kind of why I am stepping back. I am okay. The results of the stress test and blood test are all negative. So they were just extremely expensive year fines.
Very familiar with that.
With the exception of the fact that I'm on like blood pressure medication to try and regulate my blood pressure, there is nothing else that is wrong with me other than that I am over 40 and fat. That's like it, So like, I don't know. Still, there is a level of stress reduction that I think needs to happen, to live a healthy, productive life.
Yeah.
At this point.
For sure. Yeah, especially like you said, eventually it was going to get to that point anyways, to where it just cuts down to, who knows, maybe just the podcast part of everything with this and Wiz, or, hell, who knows, whatever job you end up getting.
I have no idea.
Maybe someday, one day, like, we have to do our final show. Like,
right. I have no idea. I am sure that at some point we will have to do our final show because I'll fucking croak. But I think that
No, we're propping the corpse up.
Weekend at Bernie's me. I think that there is always going to be this channel as long as I am alive, probably. I don't think anything's going to change that, just because as much as I'm whining here, it's been such a positive influence in my life. And, like I've met so many crazy people. I've done so many crazy things because of this podcast I just never would have done. Even at the low view counts that we have, it's still kind of crazy. So like this podcast, this channel, probably always be around. I also find that I enjoy TTRPGs so much more when I'm making a show out of them. I don't know what that says about me. Probably narcissist, but so I feel like I'm still going to be recording those in some way, shape, or form. That being said, I'm probably not going to do 14 of them.
No, maybe one, possibly two, but that's the limit.
Maybe do a review here and there when I feel like it, instead of trying to get them out the door, trying to find content for every day of the week. Which is funny because I think we've still had content for basically every day of the week since I posted that, but it's already been up. That's true. The other thing people don't realize is there's literally like content on this channel until November. I'm sorry, no, October. Already uploaded and prepared and ready to go. There's content on this channel until October. Like, just because I've pre-recorded, I've batch recorded, I've done other stuff, there is content, So, like, it's kind of crazy to think of that I came out with this video, and it's like we've every day we've had a video, I think, of some sort, shape, or form. So
right.
All right.